Here's another example in chapter 15. And so here's the setting. I, Dr. Josh Price, own the only distributor of Diet Coke in southern Utah. I do not price discriminate. That is, I sell all my cans of Diet Coke at the same price regardless of the customer. Let's use this first graph to identify the price and quantity that maximizes profits. And let's label the profits in the graph. So the rule that we're going to use is to maximize profits is that marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So we find that point, and that happens right here. So I can draw that line all the way down, and that's the quantity that the monopolist is going to produce. Okay, so now I found the quantity. Now to find the price, I take that quantity and I bring it up into the demand equation, and that's that price. So here is the price that the monopolist charges. Okay, so now we've done price and quantity, and now let's label the profits. So remember, profits are equal to total revenue minus total cost. And we did that little trick where we take this and divide it by little q and little q, but here, because the monopoly is the firm and the firm is the market, we can divide it by big Q over big Q. So this is equal to total revenue divided by Q minus total cost divided by Q times Q. We just distributed that little q into the parentheses. And so this is equal to total revenue is price times quantity, so it's price minus average total cost times quantity. And that's a useful equation to have. And the reason it's useful is because we can identify that on the graph. So on the graph, we find our price, which is right here. And we use that quantity to find the average total cost, which is right there. And so in this case, this rectangle here are the profits. But one thing to note is that price is below average total cost. And that tells us then that if this number is smaller than that number, this thing is negative, so profits are less than 0, and so this would be identified as our economic losses. And so that makes us sad. So even as a monopolist, we are the only provider of the good, we are maximizing profits, and we still lose money. And so now we have some options. What can we do to earn money, to stop having losses? Well, one thing we can do is take our demand curve and shift it out. If we shift it out, that'll then allow price to be above average total cost. Sometimes that's hard to do. Other things you might think about is, well, what if we just make our firm more efficient and reduce the cost? And so the second scenario is now assume that my firm adopts a new technology that reduces the cost. What happens then? So what you're going to notice now is that average total cost curve is going to shift down. My marginal cost curve is also going to shift down, so I have a whole new cost function now. So maybe I adopted new trucks, maybe I changed the strategy of how I distribute trucks, of how I send my trucks to the routes they take, whatever it might be, but I adopt a technology that reduces my cost. Now let's see what happens in this scenario. Well, our profit maximizing point is still where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So here is my optimal quantity. I take that quantity, I put that up into my demand equation, and that then tells me my optimal price. And now to find my profits, I take price minus average total cost, so that's that distance there, times quantity, which is this distance here. And so what my new rectangle is this one right here. And since price is above average total cost at QM, that's the key, is wherever that optimal quantity is, then profits are greater than 0. And in fact, in this case, I can calculate the actual number. So I get profits to be price minus average total cost times quantity. So that is, price is $2.50 Average total cost is 2 times 1.5. So I get 0.5 times 1.5, and that is equal to 0.75, and those are my profits. Okay, and so that's how we can calculate this. Now the question is, well, with economic profits, won't other firms just enter the market? And the answer is no. I'm a monopoly. I'm the only one. I'm a monopoly because I have barriers to entry. With the profits, this is both in the short run and the long run because there are no competitors in this market.